All right, so we're recording everywhere we need to be recording. We have the book, we have water, we have paint, we have paper plates to put paint on. I have a dog getting into trash. Both of you, you know who you are. I have paintbrushes, ants. No kids. The little girl has soccer practice tonight. Her first game is this weekend. Wish her luck. But she has an easel to show. And then the boy has an ear infection, which we just found out today. He had a cough, so the wife took him to the doctor because it wouldn't go away and he kept getting a fever. And the doctor looks at him this afternoon and says, his ears are really, really red. And the next thing you know, she's decided he's got pneumonia or whatever. So that's, which we're going to talk about tonight. So that's where they are. They're at the little girl's soccer game. And my mother is printing t-shirts. She's doing her very best to get a buttload, which I found out is like 176 gallons. A buttload of shirts to the Little League team that's due by tomorrow morning at 8. So she's breaking her back trying to get those printed. Eventually, we hope to have her back in the studio with us. So take your headphones off. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Artistic Biker Live. I hope you guys are all doing good. Woohoo! Woohoo! Got a little bit of studio news. Our 501c3 paperwork is complete and should be submitted to the IRS tomorrow. It's only taken 2 flipping years. And that's irritating. By the way, don't ever use LegalZoom. I'll tell you that right up front. Do not ever use LegalZoom because they lost our paperwork, then they fumbled our paperwork, and then they made us redo the paperwork. The whole thing. Don't ever use them. $500 out the door. We still have to file it. But I don't think we have to pay a filing fee. I think the filing fee was included in the $500. But all that aside, 2 years into this deal, and looks like we're finally going to be able to file the 501c3. And when that happens, I'm going to become a professional grant writer. I'll spend 2 to 4 hours a day looking up grants to apply for. I'll do it every day because what I want to do with this is I want to go to the rural schools around here and I want to spend a day at each rural school teaching arts, doing art demonstrations and presentations for the schools. And I know that the schools cannot afford that. And so I absolutely know the schools cannot afford to pay me a living wage and pay for that. So I'm going to seek grant money for that. And that's what all of the fundraising, everything we raise money for is so that we can set those demo classes up for the kids, buy the supplies and set those demo classes up for the kids. So that being said, that paperwork should be here tomorrow, UPS, and then we should be able to review it and file it first part of next week. So there's that. And then the other news is that the studio, there is a chance that I may get another studio back. If I don't get my studio back, there's a chance that I may have another studio. So we're all hoping. There's lots of other things going on. Remember last week we had the light at the end of the tunnel might not be a train. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. Maybe some of it's going to pan out. I've got 4 really clear paths ahead of me, and right now I'm running down all 4 of them simultaneously. Anyway, that said, tonight we're going to journal a little bit about the apparently the Black Plague that hits school families when your wife is a school teacher. So with that, let's do the intro to the YouTube video, and I'll meet you on the other side of it. Hey peoples! Welcome to this week's episode of the Artistic Biker. Last time on the Artistic Biker, it was this time the light at the end of the tunnel may not be a train, and you've got me on all 4s trying to crawl out of the tunnel, and there's light at the end of it. Maybe this time it's not a train. We'll know more about that in a couple of weeks. This week, however, school has started, and the Black Plague has afflicted my family because my wife, the school teacher, has been around entirely too many pre-Kers. So I want to journal a little bit about that. So with that, let's just turn the page and get started. No, it's not lice, Kimberly. It's not lice. But every germ known to man circulates through, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Every germ known to mankind circulates through the school systems. And those little honeys with their fingers in their nose, those little darlings with their fingers in their nose and their complete lack of awareness of what they've done with their hands before they touch the community crayons in the art room. Those little darlings, they just love to spread that infection. They just love to spread that infection. And it's a yearly thing. I mean, this is not new. This, you would think that by now, you would think that, who's that? Kia's in the chat room talking about how when she was teaching full time, she was always sick. Kia, you'd think they'd have shots for teachers. You would think, like when soldiers go overseas, they line them all up and they give them a whole series of shots. And you would think that they would do that for teachers at the beginning of every school year. It'd be like, hey, come on, we need to go get your shots. But no, they don't do that. They just rather all the teachers just develop that healthy immune system by, you know, dealing with all the bugs. And I mean, them little precious heads, they do things like they go on vacation in Mexico and get sick, and their parents know they're sick. And their parents are like, well, but they can't miss school because I can't afford a babysitter or daycare or whatever. By God, you could afford to take them to a foreign country, but you can't afford a babysitter for a couple of days while they get over their flippin' fever? My goodness. Anyway, let me dry this real quick. We'll take a little break, and we'll be right back. And when I call them precious heads, I mean that in the most endearing way. I don't in any way mean that to be insulting little precious heads. Bless their hearts. Yes, Rain. We'll make the new journal next week. Rain's in the chat room trying to figure out what the schedule is going to be like. So yes, new journal next week. We were supposed to finish the journal last week, but in my calculations, I miscalculated. I thought we had more time. I thought we had more time, and ended up, I glued one page together. I should have glued two pages together, and I should have finished the journal that same day. But we'll finish it up tonight. I really thought about just not. I really thought that I would just glue this page together and be done with it, and make that part of the show. Alright, now I have this cloud of fog here. I think I can look at this. I'm sorry. I have a cloud of fog here that I have to contend with. If you forgot to put your mask on, it's important. It's always important to wear a mask when you do this sort of stuff. Alright. Let's see. Let's take this. And let's take this. I'm going to have to go to Amazon and get me some more paint. I'm also going to have to take my computer apart and dust it. I can hear it. I can hear it struggling. Can't talk. Arting. I'm not even really arting yet. I'm just kind of thinking as I go, which is always a bad thing, because then I start second guessing myself. Or worse yet, I come up with something that takes entirely too long to do. Oh, they're going on in the chat room about not having paper sacks. Apparently they don't have paper sacks in the UK. We're in Canada, which means that they have to have something else to make their journals out of. It's not near wet enough then if it's not running. So well, I don't know, you'll have to use file folders or something, huh? You know, you could go get don't buy craft paper. I've gone to the hobby stores and I bought craft paper, and then I turned around and I went to Sherwin-Williams, and they had brown paper, masking paper that was the exact same stuff as the craft paper at pennies on the dollar. Pennies on the dollar. So don't buy craft paper. Go buy brown paper, masking paper, or go to the post and get some wrapping paper. All right, let me set this aside. I want that to settle down a little bit before I try to dry it. So let's set that aside. And let's do what's on your easel. How's that for a background? Let's set that aside and let's do what's on your easel. Okay. What's on your easel? What's on your easel? What's on your easel today? I have spam, 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 spam. How do they know so much about my male enhancement needs? All right, the sexy red-headed Darcy sends 2 Christmas card tags made with brand new release stamps. Not my designs. Mine's released later in the week. Okay, so these are not, for those keeping track, these are not the sexy red-headed Darcy's designs. She told us up front so that I wouldn't ask her, because I always do. And so let's see what she has here. She's new stamps. So I'm going to spread this out. I won't be able to see the chat. So these are Christmas Isn't a Season. These are a series of stamps. There's the Christmas stamp tag with the little textured snow and the Christmas trees and the fancy curlicue Christmas trees and the fence posts made out of stars, and there's snowflakes. There's a tag hole. So we have the swirly sky black background, and there's the textured snow and the snow stamps and the trees. And you can see the texture to that. That is really cool. Darcy, I want to ask you on that one, and I'm going to ask now so that when we're done, we'll have an answer in the chat. On that texture, what do you find on the flexibility of it? What's it like when it dries? Does it flake off if the card is warped a little bit, or does it become malleable after it dries? And then we have a stamped tree here with texture, with like a burlap texture. Christmas to you, a very happy Christmas to you. How very British. Happy Christmas, Ron. Happy Christmas, Harry. And then a little tree, little fence post star stamps. And then here's got a ribbon on it with a scribble tree with a star on top of it. Starting with some purple and some teal stars. Little cutouts. Look at that. Look at that. Aw, look at the close-up of that. I love that. I love that. Nice stuff, Darce. There's our sexy red-headed Darcy right there. Let's see if she was able to answer in chat. She says it's workable. No, that's Cole Roby said that. Cool stamps. Cole Roby says it's workable. Okay, here's Darce. It's a Dreamweaver crackle paste. It's the very first time she's used it. It's quite thick and it does seem a bit brittle when the tag is bent. But on a flat canvas or board, it will be fine. So if you're for those of you following along at home, and if you go to her blog, you can find the step-by-step instructions on, or the step-by-step on how she did this. But if you use this stuff, she says it's brittle. Good for a flat surface or a canvas, but a bit flaky for a card. Good to know. Good information to have, Darce. Hi, Molly Stamper. Alright, let's see here. And then that was the sexy red-headed Darcy. Green Glams, who can't be with us tonight, sent an easel in. And it's her cat cuddled up inside her shirt, playing with her Stabilo, jelly plate print, and playing with color. A few of the creations this week. I think the rebirth of the jelly print needs something more. Thanks. And so let's do this as a slideshow. So here's the cat curled up inside her shirt. What'd she say this was? Does anybody remember? Playing with my Stabilo all. And then this is the jelly plate rebirth. And then what was this one? I have the memory of a gnat. Just playing with some colors. Nice stuff, Green Glams. Keep playing. Good stuff. And then Jay the Viking sends in. He's still working on Jamie's picture. Jamie is artist poet girl. Light. Highlights, contrasts, brightness. There we go. Now we can see it. And then let's zoom in on it a little. So this is what Jay's working on. Artist poet girl and her husband, who has very similar appearance to me. So good stuff, Jay. Look at the colors. Look at the depth of color in those skin tones. I'm going to zoom in on that just a little more. Look at that. Very nice, Jay. Now, how long after you're done with that do you take the blindfold off, and do you touch it up after you do it, or? And then APG sent in. She's coming along, or so I think. Here's her boat-headed island girl. This is what artist poet girl Jamie Lynn's working on. Nice stuff. Nice stuff. Is that everybody? That's it. That's everybody. Okay. So that's all of that. Jay never takes his blindfold off. Jay's our ninja artist. he draws and paints blindfolded and with his toes. He's our ninja artist. So then let's go here, and I'll show you the little girl last week worked on this. If I can, let's see if I can zoom down to that. Why won't it zoom? What am I doing wrong? Oh, there it is. Woo-hoo-hoo. It's not your time, it's ours, because it's the Halloweeny time. There's a bat. There's a jack-o'-lantern. She's telling Christmas it's not your time. It's the Halloweeny time. And she was singing, "This is Halloween. This is Halloween. La 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 la." The whole time she was doing it. And then the wife sent in. She texted me. This is from her art journaling class. What some of her students are working on, and you can see there's an angel there and some kind of queen here, Queen of Hearts here, and then the journaling techniques around it. This is from her art journaling class, and I think this is her first week to actually meet with her art journaling class this year. And then there's another one that she's done. So these are the works of my wife's students, and it's all of on the keys there, on the black keys, it says "all about me." These are this is the work of my wife's art students in her art journaling class. And then I have been continuing along with my my figure sketches and my 3 minute value studies, just trying to capture shapes as fast as I can, going through there, trying to get faster, trying to get more accuracy faster with my value sketches and my pinup studies. And I'm doing those nightly, and then I've continued on with my watercolor faces. And I'm just going through my Facebook list, my Facebook friends list, and the next person on the list is the next one I draw, or is the next one I paint. And so I've just been kind of having some fun with that, and I try to limit these. I try to limit these to 5 minutes also. So no more than 5 minutes. Trying to capture as much detail as quick as I can, just going through my list of friends on Facebook. So that is what was on my easel, that is what was on their easel, and that is what was on your easel. If you would like to be a part of what's on your easel, simply send an email to blade@artisticbiker.com with the subject line easel, and we'll use your works to inspire other people to do work, because really that's what all this is about, is trying to show people, get up off your backside and do something. So that said, this is not quite dry, so we're going to dry this just a little bit. We will take a little break and we'll be right back. When you spill the paint on your page, it takes a long time to dry, especially when there's blotches like that. But I think that's probably dry enough for our purposes. So, and you missed over here on the side where it spilled, and I was spending all that time cleaning it up. What you couldn't see on the sides over here was me frantically wiping paper towels to keep the paint from getting all over everything. Tell you what, let's do. Let's subdue this just a little, not too much. Just a little. So that when we do this part, can't talk, arting. It's not even the Halloweeny season yet. How bad is that? This is the part of the page I think will go fast. Yeah, that's what I want. So what else is going on? Let's see. It's Hot Check Thursday, which means that if the little girl survives the plague, we'll probably end up at the shooting range this weekend shooting our arrows. Because she likes to do that, and I like to do that. It's funny how daddy-daughter sketching has turned into daddy-daughter shooting. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Let's put some shadows down here. My khaki looks like naked legs. Let's just change into blue. That way they won't look naked. All right. How do you spell plague? B-L-A-G-U-E? Is that right? B-L-A-G-U-E. Yes. All right. Let me dry that a little bit. We'll finish it up. Yeah, this, like I said, they ought to vaccinate teachers like they do soldiers going to war. You know, it just seems like it would save so much trouble. Teachers and students missing days the first week of school because, you know, the plague. My beautiful young bride came home sick Thursday, Didn't go to school on Friday. And then my boy turned up sick this weekend. My little girl hasn't been sick yet, but you know, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. Alright, where's my brush pen? Did I ever tell you how much I love my brush pen? How are we doing on time? 7:30. We're perfect on time. That's perfect. Because we'll finish this up. And then we'll do the flip through of the book. So who else has been a school teacher besides Kia? Not very flattering at all, is it? My poor bride. Paint on the brush pen. Always make sure to get the paint off of your brush pen. Alright, now we do have a tradition when we finish a page, rather when we finish a book. We have a tradition when we finish a book, everybody in the chat room gets listed in the book, gets listed on the page somewhere. So we have Darcy. There we go. We have Ada Louise. We have APG. We have Athala. We have Semison. Carol. EMCEWAN. Cass 1415. Cass 1415. C. Boudreaux. C. Boudreaux. Cole Roby. How many L's in Cole Roby? Cole Roby. J. Merle. J. Merle. Jurion. Gets a place of prominence. I think he's been in every book. Kia Gillian. Kimberly H. Nomadic Rose. And Rain Phoenix. There we go. All right, let me dry it real quick. And we're finished with the page. We'll dry it, and then that way we can... Oh, wait. Did I get Anna? Did I get Anna? Anna, I miss you. Hang on. Anna Lysom. Did I miss anybody else? I'm not listening to bot. Darcy, Ada, Anna, APG, Athala, Semison, Cass, Boudreaux, Cole Roby, J. Merle, Jurion, Kia Gillian, Kimberly, Nomadic Rose, and Rain Phoenix. And I got you. I got you right there, Anna. And then if Dave shows up, we have to remember to go back and write Dave in. All right, so let's do, everybody go get a fresh glass of wine. And let's do a real quick flip through. This whole book is liable to just stick together from here on out. Now this book, the outside of this book is a watercolor demonstration that I did. There's cheese and there's a watermelon. It was a still life on a table. Wine bottle over there, which means I've got to do a watercolor between now and then. So between now and next week, so that I will have one for the new journal. So the journal's made out of paper grocery sacks. And the first week I was doing who is that? Frida, the Frida painting with Ayala Art. And I could find all kinds of time for Facebook, but I couldn't find time to paint. And then it was the Halloweeny season, and look at that chainsaw. Rah, rah, ah. I may need to zoom out just a little bit more. That's the opposite of out. There we go. So there's the Halloweeny season 1. Halloweeny season 2. I didn't need to blink until you told me not to. No need to fear, Mummy just had a rap. The kids hate being trapped indoors when the sun wasn't shining. Got this little scream thing going on over here in the shining hallway. Come play with us, Daddy. Red rum. It's a monster! Ah! No, your mom just hasn't had her first cup of coffee yet. Exercise, sweat, and tears lubricates the creative mind. Every time I paint me, I have to mix more gray. The early snowstorms gave old Tom the perfect hiding place this year. We like to play hide the turkey. This year the turkey hid in a snowbank. We had enough snow that the turkey was able to hide. You can see he's hidden here, peeks out, looks around, and jumps back into his snowbank. Then I broke my rib. How did you break your rib? I fell off the roof, actually, but I told everybody it was Kama Sutra, it was parachuting, it was anything but something stupid like falling off the roof. And then I broke a tooth. The tooth fairy said it would only cost an arm and a leg for the new tooth. And then it was happy holidays, stay warm. Same to you, buddy. And then we took the kids to Carlsbad Cavern, and he dropped his spelunking helmet down the 10,000 year cave. So 10,000 years from now, think of the stories they'll imagine about that hat down at the bottom. That thing, when it fell, I swear it clanged for 5 whole minutes. Clang, 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 clang. Clang, 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 clang. Shh. Clang, 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 clang. And then we moved out of the studio, and that was sad for me. But we had to turn the page. So there's me just packing up my goodies and moving out of the studio. And then we'd gone on a car trip, and we had to teach the kids how to sing the Ants Go Marching song so that they could not have to go potty every 5 minutes. And then I got dentures. While I was waiting for my dentures, could y'all put that in the blender for me? And there's this snail that shoots venom, and it's an insulin venom, and it sends its victims into hypoglycemic shock. Seriously, it makes a little dart out of its tongue, and it shoots venom, insulin venom, into its victims, and it makes sends the victim into hypoglycemic shock, and then that snail can just crawl over and eat the fish. And that's the same reason men give women candy and wine, is to send them into kind of a stupor. Oh, and then I was in Atlanta. I was in Kentucky and Atlanta that week. So bourbon, blue moons, guitars, and jazzy cats. And then we were trying to figure out what to do for my first ultimate painting, and I did all the things that I normally paint, and then I kind of turned him into a cat. I was back in Atlanta. I went to see the Georgia Aquarium with the Georgia peach and the beluga whales and stuff. It was started to be spring. Be sure and check yourself for ticks and someone you love. And then we talked about all of my art friends having ADH squirrel. Oh, Rain doesn't know the ant song. The ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching one by one, the little ones stop to suck his thumb, and they all go marching down to the ground to get out of the rain. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, that's the ant song. And you sing the ant song to keep your mind off of having to go potty. So, 88 squirrel. And then my son, it was Easter, and my son helped me do a page. We did it together. He drew the picture, I blew it up, and we pasted it in. And we had some issues pasting it in, so we had him come doctor it up and fix it. Because Easter's about family. And then we got the puppy, and I was emotionally blackmailed by the little girl wanting that puppy. Daddy, please, I gotta have the puppy. She won't have anything to do with the dog now. It's big. And then it rained for 3 weeks straight, flooded the whole town. It's a 200-year flood. We hadn't had a flood like that they're saying 200 years. I remember a flood like that about 30 years ago, but it was a huge flood, and it made the weeds grow, and you couldn't mow because it was still raining. And then the stormy weather makes me sleepy, but you shouldn't sleep while you're driving. That's a bad thing. And then I went to Pecos, Texas, and I got to see the museum for Judge Roy being the hanging judge. And then the wife left me and the boy home alone, and I don't know if she was more afraid of the storms or the boys being left home alone for any length of time, the damage that would be done. Then I went and taught at my alma mater, my high school. I went back to my high school and did an art demo for them. And the A is for art. You can see the kids love me, shooting spitballs and paper airplanes. And then I had crawfish in Louisiana. It was crawfish season. Loves me some crawfish. And then I went to Odessa, and in Odessa they have a Stonehenge replica. And all I could think when I was walking around out there at the Stonehenge replica was that little dwarf in Spinal Tap. This is Spinal Tap. And they lowered the 11-inch high replica of Stonehenge, and the dwarves are out there dancing around out there. Turn it up to 11. And then I went to North Dakota for a week or so, and I felt like a snake seeking higher ground to avoid the storms. And then somebody was asking how to hide stuff in their journal. They didn't like their husband looking over their shoulder and reading their journal, so we discussed various ways to hide what you write in your journal. This is sealed, it's an envelope, but we discussed all these various ways to hide what you write in the journal. And then flying by the seat of my pants, little Kopi blade there, Koopa blade. And then my son started painting whales and dinosaurs and stuff in his books, and he did more art in that book that first week than I had done the entire year. So art all the things. And then we went to Carlsbad again, and we waited to see the bats, and we waited and we waited and we waited, and there was a hailstorm just right before dusk, right before the sunset, and the hailstorm and the rain that went away, but it had disrupted the bats, and the bats didn't come out, so you can see there's no bats. Oh hail, where are all the bats? Every page is a memory. We binge watched during the Carlsbad trip. We binge watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, and they talked about spirit animals and spirit guides and all that other stuff. And then we watched an episode of Wildcrats, and it was the episode about sloths, and it turns out that my totem animal is a sloth because we have so much in common. And then all the traveling, I was keeping me and the wife apart too much, so we were two lovers passing like ships in the night. You can see the ships in the background there. And then I got my new sunglasses that fit over my glasses, and I felt like Elvis when I was wearing them. So I needed to bedazzle them. And we were going to SeaWorld the next week, so turned the page over and painted the whale there to talk about SeaWorld, because I'm the killer whale trainer and you're not. Splashing around SeaWorld. Semi-Son says her totem animal is an owl. I thought you had to meditate and starve yourself and do peyote to find out what your actual totem animal was. The wife and I have been learning Spanish. She's actually taking classes at the Votech on Wednesday nights, and I've been listening to the tapes in my car. And so we did a page, El queso es viejo y mojoso, which is from Encino Man. The cheese is old and moldy. Thanks, Simi-san. And then it was time to buy school supplies, and turns out we went to Stuff Mart. You can see in the background there, we went to Stuff Mart. And it turns out I might have a slight addiction to some school supplies. Might. And the sky might be blue. And then the county fair. We did this page at the county fair. Ride the rides and look at freaks. And you can see there's balloons. It was the 100-year anniversary of the county fair. Blue ribbons, kids riding rides. Thanks, Pamela French. And then we discovered that there were too many pages left in the journal. We were too close to the Halloweeny season where we needed a new journal. And I thought that maybe if I ripped some pages out or glued some pages together, that it might make the Halloweeny season come faster. Turns out it doesn't work that way. And then last week, that brings us back to last week, where the light at the end of the tunnel might not be a train this time. And then of course this week, where the first week of school is Plague Week, and the family has come home from school with the plague already, which is really kind of just a cheap way for me to get an extra Halloweeny page in, which is what this was. You know I love the Halloweeny. So I got an extra page of Halloweeny over here. Now I got an extra page of Halloween over here. And there are 5 Thursdays in October this year before Halloween. So we're gonna get 5 whole Halloweeny pages. So and then we list everybody who was here the night we finished the journal. Did I miss anybody? B.M. Lilith. Okay, so we got Darcy UK and Ada Louise and Artist Poet Girl and Athala and Simi-Son and Cass 1415 and Boudreaux and Cole Roby and Jay Merle and Kia Gillian and Kimberly and Anna and Jurion and Nomadic Rose and Rain Phoenix and Pamela French and B.M. Lilith. And so that's everybody who was here when we finished the book. And that's awesome to me. That's a tradition. We've done that since the very first book. Everybody who was here when we finished the very first book is every season when we wrap it up. That's one of the things we do. So guys, that's it. We're out of book. Next week we'll start a brand new one. And you know, this is my favorite night of the week when I get to art with my besties. You know, I sit out here and I drink my usually coffee with rum in it, but tonight I've got Keystone Light. And I paint in my book and I tell stories, and we have a great time, don't we? So guys, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure and tune in next week. Same Artistic Biker time, same Artistic Biker channel, and we'll make a new journal, right? And then we dance. And while we're dancing, remember when we finish the video, there'll be links around the sides here to click to subscribe. There'll be links to see the what's on your easel. There'll be links to see the video quiche. There'll be links to see the video longy. So we dance until somebody says they see us dancing, and then that's how we know the lag has caught up to where we are. And hopefully Jay has not, thank you,